in S2ENGINE you can place different kind of lights: static light, light and ambient light. Okay, static light are those we know. These are static lights. Static lights have cached normal maps, okay, and can be placed and are fixed, okay. Lights are dynamic lights and can be also programmed with, can also use game machine. A dynamic light can be programmed using game machine. You can make it to move or rotate, changing its intensity using game machine, okay? While static light are static. The intensity can be changed using game machine, but from another object, or can be showed or hidden by a switch, for example. When the switch panels that are common, that are these. The switch panels are these. Light switch, okay? Sorry, I have, okay. The light switch that is this, okay, this is a light switch. The light switch is a show switch object. What is a show switch? So show switch can have the possibility, the possibility to show or hide another object, okay? So if I link this switch to the light, I can make the light be turned on and off, okay? How can make this? I can make this by using the open receivers and closed receivers. Okay, every switch can have two lists of objects that can receive the switch function, the switch operation, that are open and closed receivers. In this case, the light can be an open and closed receivers of the switch. So I link the light to the switch, okay, as an open receiver. So when I open the switch, the light turn on, is showed. If I link the light, the static light, to the switch as a closed receiver, the light turn on, off, can be turned off, okay? We can test this as always by using the action message. So I send the action message to the switch, I turn on and off the light, okay? As all the other switch, also the light switch has its animations and its open and closed sounds. So you can see the switch animating, okay? Okay. So if you want a room to be dark, you simply can turn off all the lights of the room by using switches, for example, by using switches, okay? This is the approach I have used into the Haunted House demo project. There is another possibility that I don't suggest for the anti-DAOs, for the anti-DAOs environment, but there is another possibility, that is the possibility to use the ambient light. The ambient light is what other engines call light probe. Light probe is just a cube map that renders the environment, its local environment, and make reflections to the other objects. Okay. For example, if I can insert an ambient light here. Okay, I want, for example, the refrigerator to reflect the environment. Okay, by default, S2ENGINE has a dynamic environment map that is updated every frame where the camera is. This is a feature just like does in GTA. Okay, GTA uses a system like this, just like this, rendering a cube map around the camera for simulating reflections. This is what S2ENGINE make by default, but there are a lot of cases, just as indoor environments in which this system doesn't work very well, because too much movement, too much glitches. Okay, so you can use a static environment map that renders only the local environment of an ambient light. Okay, in this case, so I have an ambient light. I can edit cube map, build cube map. I can build a cube map of resolution I want. For example, this. This is the ambient light I have chosen. I click on OK, and an environment map has been rendered from the ambient light. How can I see this? I can see the cube map. The cube map from how is the cube map? Ambient light. Where is the cube map? Here is here. Okay. The cube map rendered by an environment map, an ambient light, usually is placed by the engine inside decals default. I think the cube map has to been created. Okay, light. Okay. Something cube maps, new scene. Okay, cube maps. Where is the cube map? In character cube maps. This has to been updated. Okay, don't worry. Okay, cube maps. new scene. Here are the here is the cube map created. Okay, these are the 6 phases of the cube map created, and this is the cube map created. If I inspect it, I can see the cube map. Cube maps are updated with the time of day. If I change time of day, cube map are updated. Okay, cube map are used for reflections and for diffuse colors of the environment, and are locals. Only the environment near inside the range of ambient light is affected by this cube map. Usually you can also use a cube map with the rectangular shape for better covering the ambient. Okay. Now this ambient light the scale of the ambient light can be multiplied by this light scale value. In fact, if you scale to 100 the environment, the light environment is scaled. Okay. If also be sure that when you create a cube map, okay, be sure the falloff to control the falloff control the shape, the decay of the ambient light. So usually this value is good. Okay, if I make the light scale of the environment to 0, all the environment colors become more dark. So if I turn off the light and I set the light map to 0, light scale of the ambient light to 0, all is more dark. Okay. The reflection of the diffuse reflection of the ambient are to 0. For making the reflection to 0, you have okay, another thing. If you want the ambient lights can render separately diffuse and specular reflections. Okay, this is controlled by these 2 parameters. If I make the ambient light not rendering the specular reflections, I have to uncheck this. If I uncheck this, the engine automatically use the global cube map, that is the cube map rendered from the camera point of view, that is thus used in GTA, okay? And it is very useful in indoor environment, but useful in outdoor environment. But in indoor environments, I suggest to make cast reflection to true. In this case, the reflection are thus local to the ambient light, are reflection that are rendered using this cube map. In this case, if I make light scale to 0, the diffuse reflection are multiplied by 0. Alternatively, I can uncheck diffuse cast reflections. In this case, the diffuse reflection coming from the ambient light are skipped, so the engine don't take into account them. In this case, I have the diffuse reflection to 0 of the light, or the ambient light, and the engine render them. But if I uncheck cast diffuse reflection, the engine don't take into account the local diffuse reflection of the ambient light, but use the global reflection that came from the sky. Okay. About reflection. Okay, if I want to make make 0 also reflection multiplier, I can lower the reflection multiplier. Okay. In this case, I have a dark light for the environment, and I can use it for this, just as a dark fill light for fill an ambient, for fill an indoor environment with dark colors, with darkness. Okay, and this could be useful into an horror game. Okay. But in the case of Haunted House, I have simply used lights. Where is the dark? It means that light aren't there. Simply lights aren't there. Okay. This is the simpler way I have found to make an ambient, to make an environment dark. The completely absence of lights. Okay, there is another question. If a light don't cast shadows, for example, if I make this light don't casting shadows because it is a fill light or a light simulating global illumination, or simply a light I have used for making the environment more bright, and I don't want this light to cast shadows. Okay, how can I make this light don't be cast, don't affect also also behind the door, the other side of the door. In this case, I have light, what is called light leaking. Imagine you have built a room and you have a light that don't cast shadows. In this case, there should be some sort of light leaking outside the room, even if I have closed the door. Okay, this is not so beautiful especially for an horror type game. So how can I avoid the light leaking without using shadow casting? How can I avoid this if I have a light that doesn't cast shadows? In this case, I have to use what I have called light clipper. What is a light clipper? A light clipper is simply a volume that catch the light and doesn't allow the light to influence the outside of the volume. Okay. For example, now I create a box volume. Volumes are inside AI objects list. In this case, I create a box volume that is simply a box, and in the case of anti-DAOs, that is an environment built with boxed room, rectangular room. The box volume is ideal. Okay, I can resize it in order to fit my room. Okay. There is no need to be extremely precise. It's sufficient. Check it by your eyes. Okay, I have created this box. Okay, now I want this box to lock the light inside him. Lock the light inside him. Okay. How can I do this? Simply I connect the light to the box as a light clipper. There is a clipper parameter inside the static lights objects. If I click clipper parameter and I select the box, okay, the box will block the light inside him. Okay, so in this case, even if the light don't cast shadows, it don't affect the outside of the room, because I have used a light clipper for clipping light inside the room. Okay, I can move as I want the light clipper for better for tuning the effect. Okay, and that's all. In this way, all the outside of my room is unaffected by the light, isn't influenced by the light.